Hello again from my front porch. Well, recently I got this in the mail. The vinyl release of the Monkees' first ever live album, the Mike and Micky Show, because sadly Mike and Micky are the only two that are left. But this was a phenomenal show, and I got to see it live myself up in Minnesota. But this photo, the photo on the cover, was taken by Micky's sister, who's known as Coco Dolenz. And I had an opportunity recently to have a pretty lengthy and in-depth conversation with her. She's absolutely amazing person, and it is so much stuff that I've decided to break it out over multiple installments. And so this is our first installment. And in this episode, I want to focus on Coco, the fifth monkey. Enjoy.
Hello again from my front porch. Tonight, this is tonight. This is a really special episode because it's not you don't have to just listen to me this time. You also notice I'm not on my front porch, even though the banner Ashley sent me says I'm on my front porch. I'm not actually on my front porch. I'm in my office down in my home down the house here, and I'm doing this because I'm online with a fantastic person that I'm looking forward to introducing to all of you that you may not have heard of her before, but I guarantee you're going to want to hear more about her after we're done tonight. So I want to introduce to you Gemma Coco Dolenz. So who now the name Dolenz may sound familiar because she has a brother, but she is the much better looking, much younger sibling. Okay, so Coco, say hello.
Yes, sir. Hi. Hello there. How are we doing? Am I on camera too, or is just you?
Well, you should be on camera until I start talking now, and then it'll come back to me.
And then it switches back.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. All right.
Yep,
Hi, everybody. How you doing in Des Moines?
so, Coco, you as I said, you still are Micky Dolenz sister, and anybody who's watched any of my front porch episodes know that every once in a while I mention the Monkees now and again of things that I enjoy about them, and in fact last year I was able to go to the reunion. The Mike and Micky show that was up in Mystic Lake, and I've been to several of them over the years, starting way back at the '86, and then unfortunately never got to see one of the shows that all four of them were in together. Those were a much more limited thing, but have seen different combinations of them over the years. But what is fascinating to me is that, and this is where we'll start. What is fascinating to me is you have been a part of the Monkees, what they've been doing almost since the beginning, but in a much lesser known, less visible role, mostly just your voice. And a lot of people didn't even know that it was your voice. They just thought Micky was doing some really cool harmonies with himself or something, but
Well,
it
he
wasn't.
did most of
It was you.
He really did most of his harmonies. This is true. The thing is that I sounded so much like him, especially in the early days, that if I was downtown, see, I didn't live in LA at the time the Monkees started. We had moved our family up to Los Gatos, San Jose area, the Bay Area. So I came down intermittently, and when I did, of course, I'd hang out at the set and I'd go to the recording sessions and all that. So there were times where, yeah, I would go ahead and add a harmony or something, but Micky did most of them, and he still has almost got a higher voice than I do. It just really angers me because he still sings in the same keys that he did. And there's a funny story that when they did the last train to Clarksville down to San Diego, they got on this train and this whole thing happened. And
You mean the one that was part of their promotion for when they were going to launch the series? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I can't remember why it came up, but you were talking about Tommy Boyce before we started the interview. Or maybe it was in the studio. Anyway, Tommy told me one day, he goes, well, if Micky ever gets hoarse, we'll just have Coco do his songs for him because we sound so much the same. And even now we've got that blood harmony, they call it, like the Everly Brothers, like Osmonds or whoever. The tenor is the same, and there's many times that they told me, if said, well, you sang on this song. I go, I did? I don't remember because we sound so much the same. and it was so many years ago. I was only 2 at the time, you know. Um,
Yeah, I believe that.
so,
That's valid.
but yeah, we've had a good time. We've had a good time.
So speaking of which, here let me pull up. I've got some photos here. I want to show you. I want to show. Well, I'll show the audience, but I'll show you as well. So here I'm gonna
Okay.
share this. I want those those
Oh my God,
those. I think that's an adorable photo.
it's an
That's
adorable photo.
yeah yeah.
Well,
You two look so happy. Here we'll dig for the dirt. Are you still that happy, Coco?
sure.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't have the straight blonde hair anymore. I don't
Yeah.
have the straight blonde hair anymore, but my father, you know, was in the industry and my mother was a singer and this and that. So we were always doing like, you know, these kinds of photos, which are very, you know, staged. But I
Yeah.
do remember the dress was pink that I had on. And I used to have straight hair, which I do not have anymore. And it was blonde. And yeah, that's a great little picture.
Yeah. So
Before
then
Mickey
we were
was blonde.
yeah, well, and he had straighter hair too. He probably wishes he had that much hair now.
Yeah.
'Cause- but so do I. So do we all. Um, but now
Oh,
this I thought was interesting. That
Lord.
Coco, quite the fashion maiden, quite the trendsetter. Um, I didn't. I found this image. I don't even know what magazine it came from. But I guess probably one of the teen magazine stuff.
Probably Tiger Beat. Ann
Tiger Beat.
Moses, yeah, Ann Moses came up to interview me once, and I'm not really a fashionista at all, actually, but in those days, you know, I had a couple of things that were trendy, and that's looks like it was taken at our house. I wish I still had that poncho, actually,
Yeah.
and the size dress that is. But
Well,
that,
this
yeah, that was, yeah, in the day, it was very colorful in the 60s.
well, and it's funny you mentioned the poncho because I also found
Oh
this
God.
picture of you wearing Mickey's famous poncho,
Yeah. It was
or
at his
the
house.
tablecloth that they call it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had it reproduced. They were selling them on tour for a while. They
Oh
had
wow.
they had them reproduced pretty to the point. You know, I mean they
Yeah.
were really amazing. Um I have no idea where the original one is, but yeah, I was in his closet fooling around and there you go.
So the next year I've got some images of you and Mickey singing in the studio.
Mm. Yes. I'm told that that was at RCA because I don't remember. Like I said, I would go down and come back and go down and come back, and I would visit. And I think I asked Andrew Sandoval, who was the producer of our show last
Hmm.
year. I
Yeah,
think I asked him,
great
and he
guy.
goes like, "Yeah, oh, he's amazing. He knows more about me than I do."
He knows more
Um,
about the Monkees than anybody.
yeah, he really does. He really does. I asked him when that was, and I think he said that we were probably working on Shorty Blackwell.
Oh, well, that would make sense. Yeah.
That would make sense. And notice there's a cigarette in my hand. Shame on me.
Shame, shame. I'm assuming this is probably from about the same time because Mickey
Oh
has
yeah.
the same look.
Yeah, pretty much so. He knows how to, you know, he's always been better at mugging for the camera than I.
Yeah,
I was like kind of embarrassed, you know, it's like, or whatever, just
yeah.
me. And
He's
he's
definitely the
really good at
cheesier
it.
one.
Yeah, he's real good at it.
Yeah, yeah. And so
Yes.
then
Oh my God.
I'll pause this here, but this one I was fascinated by this image when I found it because it says this is 1970,
Yeah,
which would be
it was.
after Peter left the group. But
Yeah.
but but this is
We
but
were
this
also
is
great friends, and we were at the
yeah.
Troubadour. We put a show together called Dolenz, and Torque, or DDT.
Oh, that's fun. It's too bad you guys didn't make a group of that.
Well, yeah, who knows? But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So we were at the Troubadour and doing our songs. I can't remember. We probably did some of Mike's songs. We probably did some of
Yeah.
Peter's. That was great fun. There's me with my nice long curly hair.
Yeah.
Oh
I
God.
was I was envisioning you doing a bunch of Peter, Paul, and Mary songs.
Well, Mickey and I, interesting, because when Mickey and I first started singing together, well, we were kids when we first started singing, but The first time that we would play at parties when we were teenagers,
Uh-huh.
we cut our teeth on Peter, Paul, and Mary and the Kingston Trio and the Brothers Four and Glenn Yarborough and all those folksy guys, with the great harmonies and stuff. So yeah, we'd go to the beach here in Malibu, and Mickey'd bring his guitar, and we'd sit there and sing on the beach, and he'd do melody. I always had to do harmony. And yeah, that's what we cut our teeth on. We still like it.
Okay, well, so here I've put together because we've talked about how close you and Mickey harmonize. We talked about the various songs you're on, and you mentioned Shorty Blackwell, which I believe you had a hand in creating that song too,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. Yes.
And in fact, is some songs just are songs, and some songs have stories. Is there any story about Shorty Blackwell behind it?
Well, Shorty Blackwell was his cat. He had a cat named Shorty Blackwell. Be friends with me, be friends with me. And it was about the time, I don't know what year it was, but it was about the time where, the Beatles were creating these amazing symphonies, of things. So it was Mickey's shot at doing that. I remember
Hmm.
he was up north visiting us up in Los Gatos. And so we started playing around with the different words. My stepdad, who was alive at the time, could do this thing where he could get a balloon to follow him around. Now, it was probably just static electricity, but it was still
Yeah.
kind of cool. It's like,
Uh-huh.
whoa. So I think I helped write that lyric about he follows me around and never touched the ground. What can I say?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and it just kind of morphed from there, and
Hmm.
it just kept on. It's like a symphony. It's like a movement. It has
Hmm.
different movements. It has different It's not just the typical, song, verse, song,
Hmm. Yeah.
boom, and you're done in 3 minutes. So, yeah, and I'm pretty sure we did most of that up in the house in Los Gatos.
Well, it's a fun song. It's one I think it's interesting in that it is so not traditional Monkees
Yeah,
in the sense that it's not a pop song, and yet at the same
exactly.
time it is so whimsical and quirky and goofy. It is so very Monkees. It's like a
You're
little, it's
absolutely,
both.
yeah, you're absolutely correct. You're correct, but in those days they weren't allowed to write their own music. They weren't allowed to
Right.
pick their own music, as the story goes, and it's true.
And they weren't allowed to
So they
play their own instruments either, at
well,
least in the first couple
well,
albums. So,
well, yeah. I think Peter and Mike snuck in there and did anyway,
hmm.
because but
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was crazy. But on the other hand, they had some incredible musicians that they got to work with. In
Oh
fact,
yeah.
when we were in Australia, what's this, 2020? I'm guessing 2017.
Hmm.
I can't remember now. Oh my God. Anyway, Louis Sheldon lives down there.
Oh.
And Louis Sheldon was a part of the music that at the very beginning. He's actually the guy. Bobby and Tommy brought him in, and they said, we're doing this song called Clarksville, and whatever, and Barbara and Hal Blaine and all these people. And they said, can you come up with some kind of like beginning thing?
Hmm.
And Louis the guy that came up with the dun, 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 which is now iconic.
Yeah, probably one of the most recognizable guitar licks ever.
Absolutely. But let me tell you, everybody and their mother and brother has played that lick. Our
Hmm.
guitar player, Mickey's guitar player, Wayne Avers, plays it, amazingly. But when we heard Louis Sheldon do it, it gave me goosebumps, Paul,
Hmm.
because it was the same guitar, the same notes, but gosh darn it, I get goosebumps now thinking about it. It was his lick, and it was different. It was amazing that he came on stage and played with us for a couple of
The
times.
intro and the rest of what I was playing through the song was just holding down that G note while I'm letting the other notes ring, playing that. So I'll play that with the track too. That seemed to work pretty good.
Coco.
Yeah, there is something special when you can get, the original genius behind, whether it's vocal, whether it's instrumental, whatever it is,
Yeah.
even giving a speech, somebody who wrote a poem or a story. If you can get the original artistic genius behind that to then deliver it, it's so incredible when you're able to tap
Well, it's
into that
powerful.
original artistry.
Yeah, because it's the original energy.
Yeah.
It came from him. It came from that, and the original is always, yeah, it's always the
Well,
best.
now I wish I had queued up, a clip from Last Train to Clarksville, but I don't. But I do have. I put together a little medley of some of the songs that were, at least classified as Monkees. Although, anyone who actually has read up on the Monkees know that there are very few things that the Monkees, the four of them, actually did together. A lot of
Yeah,
the
until
studio stuff was
Headquarters.
piecemealed. Yeah. And then they did Headquarters, but then after Headquarters, then they started splintering off again, doing their unique stuff, exploring their own expression, their own bag, as they say in
Yeah,
a famous interview that's out there.
yeah.
And so some of these songs fall into both categories.
I'm feeling very bad today. Another cat came in to stay. He's eating all my food. He's speaking very crude. He's gonna change the mood. I'm feeling very bad today. A red balloon got in my way. It followed me around but never touched the ground. What can I say? Shake 'em up and let 'em roll again. Shake 'em up, let 'em roll. Got a woman with a lot of soul. Shake 'em up and let 'em roll again. When your dreams have died around you, she'll be there. When you need a hand to guide you, she'll be there. And when you feel rejected, 'cause life is not what you expected, I know that she'll be there.
Fading through the door,
Into
fading through the door, fading through the door, fading through the door, summer of the door, fading through the door, into the summer of the door, fading through the door, into summer.
So there you go. That's it for Coco the Fifth Monkee. I hope you check out the Monkees live, the album, their first official live album, and I hope that you watch the rest of our series on my conversations with Coco. And I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.